Okay. Hopefully I'm on. Hopefully I'm being heard. All right. So this video isn't going to be focused on any specific thing. I don't really have anything laid out. I just wanted to talk briefly about uh pre-time skip era of One Piece compared to now in the post time skip era. And and just give my overall opinion on how I think the story has gone so far. Uh, so I don't remember when exactly I started reading One Piece, but I do recall seeing like the first episodes that I saw of One Piece was in like the early 2000s. Um, Luffy and the rest of the crew, some of the crew, they were caught by crocodile, and I remember seeing the banana gator. That was like my first actual experience of One Piece, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't really keep up with it. I think I saw like one or two episodes in the early 2000s of the Alabasta arc. But in terms of reading the story regularly, it was the late 2000s, early 2010s. I want to say 2010 that I started because the Naruto manga was still going at the same time. I think it was 2010 that I started reading One Piece. Um, 2010 or 2012. But anyway, that's not important. What I want to get to is that um, the story, when I truly got into the story, like it was a little bit goofy early on, but I didn't mind it at all. I didn't mind it that much, but because I knew that the story had developed a reputation of being great, so I stuck with those first few episodes. And then after that, I remember sitting down in a library and just watching episodes back to back to back to back to back. It was the story at that point was it got past Marineford already. I think it was right before the time skip happened that I actually caught up with the series in terms of the anime. And all of the arcs outside of the first few episodes, all of the arcs were just captivating. Like they didn't, it just seems like the story just got better and better and better and better. Of course, that's not necessarily true. There are some arcs that came later down the line that I would say weren't as strong as the previous one. For example, Alabasta is still today in my top five best arcs ever. So there you go. Uh, but what when I started getting into the series, it was kind of magical in a sense. It was kind of magical, uh, and even the way that the fights were being done, like I love the fact that the devil fruits, you'd never know like um what new wacky power would come about and how these um people would be dealt with, how they use them if they are villains. And then in the post time skip era, we started to move away from that, and it became more based on Hashi. Now, I already have a video up on my main channel on my thoughts on the whole Haki system. You can check that out if you want. But basically, I think the story would have been better if it was solely based on devil fruits, or if Haki was established early. And some folks may say that you needed Haki in order to deal with the Logia. I don't think so. Like every element has a certain weakness. There could have been other creative ways that Oda could have come up with to actually counter uh, the elemental fruits. But that's not uh, that's not really my I guess issue with the post time skip. I guess I should just come right out and say it. I think that the peak of One Piece was from the pre time skip era. I think that that was the best balanced story in terms of having everything: action, comedy, drama, lore, all of that. Pre time skip era was the best. Now, post time skip, it has it has a lot more lore related stuff than the pre time skip era. We're getting a lot more answers, but in terms of the arcs being balanced, I think that there are some things that happen in the post time skip period where it's like Oda spent too much time on, and then there are some things where it's like Oda didn't spend enough time on. And what I'm noticing is that the later arcs, in the later arcs, I think Oda is working more closely with the anime team, the animation team, because there are some things that happen in the manga, and it's like they filled in the gaps, almost. Even the latest, I noticed it more in the Wano arc, but even in the latest, like the God Valley flashback, I'm seeing a couple things that I'm not sure I saw, or I probably skipped over in the manga for whatever reason. Because there's a scene with Big Mom, a couple extra scenes with Big Mom in the God Valley flashback that I don't think that we got in the manga. So that overall, as a creative myself, as someone that is working on his own series, and as someone that would like to create something that if you read it, if the source material is a book and it comes out before, I wouldn't want to create something where you're able to read it so far ahead of time that you spoil it for those who are watching the animated version. Or if you read it, you feel like you know every single thing compared to who watched the animation. So I like that Oda has seemingly, sometimes intentionally, leave some stuff out in the manga, leave a few things out, and then the anime can just fill in the gaps. So it so that's one um that's one thing that I like about the post time skip era. And I'm going to talk about this in a later video, in part of this series discussing the story quality of One Piece. I'm going to talk about it. But I think that the lowest moments, despite the fact that those first 15-ish episodes of One Piece is like the weakest arcs in the entire story, despite all of that, I think that the lowest lows, like the moments that I can point to and be like, that's just terrible writing. Those actually came in the post time skip era. Uh, yeah.